We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. Just because you're an Israelite, the chosen of our Father, but do you understand the things that matter? I see some brothers twisting scriptures while abusing our sisters. Explain to me how this is love. They worship things like fringes and idolize their leaders. They're counted as the sheep for the slaughter. You should be careful, cause you don't want blood on your hands. Wolves in sheep clothing, they're among you, do you understand? We must endure till the end. 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 Whoa, 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 whoa. You must prove everyone indeed and pray for eyes to see. Relentless is your enemy. Perpetually he will pursue you. So keep yourself on guard. Go straight towards the mark. Do your best not to fall away. We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. Yeah. The end, yeah. We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end, yeah, 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 yeah. We must endure till the end. No matter what may come your way, we must endure till the end, yeah, yeah. Till the end. We must endure till the end. We must endure, we must endure, we must endure till the end. We must endure, we must endure till the end.
All praises, all praises. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Most High Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, the Giver of Life, the Taker of Life, our Father Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to all of the Akim out there, the Akwatiam, brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. The water for being here. Please do the ministry a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can be notified when we go live, hit that thumbs up. And as always, if you believe in your heart, mind, and soul that the message is edifying, please share it. Shalom, Sister Dorothy, for being here. She says, Shalom, Mashkapa. All praises be to the Most High. He has given us another day to be alive, be here, serve Him, worship Him, and praise Him as we give praises, honor, glory to the Most High Yahweh. Well, you can see right here the Hebrew letter. Well, we would say Ah, but they say in the modern Alef, right? It says it reveals everything. So we're going to get into this. I'm not going to hold you long today. I know it's the first day of the week. Hey, and to everybody celebrating the new moon, shout out to everybody celebrating the new moon, right? It's the new month. So if those that are keeping it today or this evening, it's the new moon for you. Shalom, peace and blessings to you, and all praises be to the Most High. Let's dive into these scriptures. I'm gonna start off in the New Testament in the book of John, 1 John chapter 4, real quick. 1 John chapter 4. And the reason I want to start here is because, like the Ak was saying on that video that I just played, that we have to endure to the end. We must endure to the end. 1 John 4:1, it says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are going out into the world. And this is why not only us as a people, but the world has been cast down into this not knowing who the Most High is and his only begotten Son, because they haven't tried every rakat, they haven't tried every spirit to know whether they were from the Most High or not. And people, as a people, we must do this. We must try these individuals that are shepherds to see if they are really sent by the Most High. And what they're telling you, is it really the word of the Most High? Because a lot of people are lost and they believe that the Son is the Father, and all of them, like we were talking about yesterday on the Shabbat, that they're 3 in 1 and all these different things. There's a lot of confusion. Why? Because they haven't tried the Spirit. They haven't seen if this man was a true shepherd of the Most High or not. Let's get a couple more. 2 Timothy chapter 4. 2 Timothy 4:1. Please turn there with me. 2 Timothy 4:1. And it reads, I charge thee therefore before the Most High and the Adon, which is the Master, Yahushua Mashiach. Notice how he's writing this. He says, I charge thee before who? The Most High. When it says this G-O-D, we're going to get into that. That's what it's going to reveal. Just bear with me, and we're going to get to it. And the Master, Yahushua Mashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word, be it the in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. So the man of the Most High, this is what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to bring forth the word whenever. There's no particular time. There's no set season. It says whenever. You got to reprove, rebuke, exhort, meaning to warn people with all long suffering. And what? That true word, the true doctrine. Verse 3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. That time is now, brothers and sisters. We know that people are not enduring sound doctrine. They don't want sound doctrine. They only want what tickle their ears, what they feel comfortable in. And let's be honest, that comfortability is what's going to destroy us as a people, because we'd rather be in something that's comfortable, that we feel is comfortable, that we feel that we can kind of understand, than being uncomfortable and being somewhere where you don't understand. But asking the Most High through his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, to give you the understanding and reveal the truth to you. It says right here, but after their own what? Lust shall they heap up to themselves teachers having itching ears. So these people are people. They will bring their own teachers up in their congregations, in their churches, in their camps. Why? Because they have itching ears. What these men can only preach or bring forth what the people allow for them to bring forth. Like I said, myself, out of my own testimonies, for those that have been here before, I've stated before that they have tried to bring me into these congregations. And as of that, they told me what I could say and what I couldn't say. So I know with 100% certainty that this is how it happens. Anytime you're under somebody, especially another man or a church or a congregation, they tell you what you can say and what you can't say. Why? And I've asked the question, why is this? And they said, because we don't want to wrinkle any feathers. We don't want people to get upset. I said, well, isn't our job to bring forth the truth? They said, yeah, but we have to do it this way first before we can actually tell them the truth. So they lied to you to try to get you into the church, get you into these congregations, and then in the hopes of after lying to you and you get settled in, then they may try to give you somewhat of a little truth. Not all truth, but somewhat of a little truth. But I believe that people go to these congregations and churches to get the whole truth. That's why people listen in. This is why people go to these buildings, because they want to get the whole truth. Some people, at least. I would hope so. It says, and they shall turn away their ears from what? The truth. So this was given to us aforetime for our learning to know in the days that we're in now and have been and continually, that this is what's going on in the world, that people are turning their ears away from the truth. And the truth is that we have a father and he has a son. They're not 3 in 1. They're not 2 in 1. They're just simply the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, right? I know people try to put them together and they try to make this whole doctrine out of it, but that's untrue. And I'm going to show you that in the Bible, in the scriptures. Verse 4 again, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned to what? Fables. This is what people believe in today, fables. They believe in the Trinity doctrine, which is a fable. They believe in a woman that had a child but didn't can lay down with a man and conceive with a man. How could the only begotten son be born from a woman if there was no seed there? How can he come from the line of David if there was no seed there? That's a fable that she laid, that the Malach, this angel, came upon her and she just became pregnant. If that was the case, how is he still from the line of David? He had to have flesh and blood. He said in the book of Hebrews, he said he wanted to be born like his brothers with flesh and blood in a fleshly body. And he had to come from the line of David. Well, his father Joseph is from the line of David. I don't think the angel that came was from the line of David. They don't have, as we know, flesh and blood. And Hamashiach Yahushua told us in the New Testament about marriage, so to say, that there's no such thing of that when it comes to the Malachs. So Malachs don't have, as we would call it, intercourse. I know people believe the fables about the book of Enoch and the watchers came down and they laid down with the women and all of these things, and they had Nephilims. And yeah, because why? People believe in what? Fables. This is what Paul is saying that people would end up believing in, and that's exactly what they believe in to this very day. Why? Because they don't want the truth. The truth is that he was born from Joseph, his father, who come from the line of David. That's who his father is, Joseph. And then they say Mary, which was a virgin, but she had many other children. So how did she remain a virgin? As we read the book of James, is that not his brother? He had brothers and sisters. So she never remained a virgin. So I don't understand where they get this concept from, that she's the holy mother, virgin, and all these different things. These are fables that people have came up with, that people believe in because they have denied their truth and turned away what? Their ears, as it says right here, from the truth. And I know people will get upset. People will click off. They will say, oh, that's not, no, that's not right. Well, this is why Paul said that people will be turned to fables. You believe what you want to believe. But there is a truth here. And it says that the truth will set you free. So all I could do is bring forth truth, present the truth. If you don't want it and you reject it, then that's on you. But my job is to bring forth the truth that's in the word, in the scriptures, and in the epistles. Verse 5, it says, "But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry." And that's exactly what I'm going to do. The ministry that was handed down, it was given to me from on high, from the Most High, and His only begotten Son, and all the other prophets and apostles that have done the work that we have entered into, the ministry that we had entered into. I'm going to make full proof of that. I'm not going to give you half of it. I'm not going to give you a little bit of it. And I'm not going to water it down because some man told me to water it down because it may hurt your feelings. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the work of what? An evangelist. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to make full proof of thy ministry. For those who don't know, as you can see it right here, in the New Living Translation, it tells you right here. I'll read the whole thing just so you can get it. It says, "Be Salakia, but you should keep a clear mind in every situation. Don't be afraid of suffering for the Adon, the Master, Hamashiach Yahushua." It says, "Work at telling others the good news and fully carry out the ministry the Most High has given you." That's what you have to do. You have to carry out the ministry, the torch that has been passed to you from generation to generation to generation to generation. We're just doing the work until we pass on, and then the torch will go to somebody else. That's why he said his word will never, ever die. It will never die. So we have to understand this work that we do is not only for us, but it's for the other brothers and sisters that come after us. As Paul said, "For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand." Paul had did all this work. He had did everything that he needed to do. He says, "I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith." And brothers and sisters, that's what we must do. We must finish the course. Whatever course has been laid out for you, you have to endure that to the end. It's going to be ups, downs, curves, drops, pits, falls, all kind of things. But still endure to the end. Never give up, as I always say, and never throw in the towel, brothers and sisters. That's what I always say. You know, Shalom for being here on this first day of the week. Uziyah, he says, "Peace and blessings. Khan, all praises be to the Most High." And Sister Dorothy said, "What is the Aleph in Paleo Hebrew?" Khan, it's the Ah. It's the Ah. I'm gonna show you that. Let's get there then. I'm not gonna hold you too long today. Let's get there. Let me just go here real quick. Let me go here real quick to the book of Ecclesiastic Us, real quick. 1611 King James Bible. Chapter 21. And this is for all my brothers and sisters. It says, "My son, hast thou sinned? Do so no more, but ask pardon of thy former sins. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of man." Remember that part, slaying the souls of man. All iniquity is as a two-edged sword, the wounds whereof cannot be healed. They cannot be healed. So I just wanted to show that real quick. I know the Sister Dorothy, she like, "Man, hey, let's get into it." She said, "Khan, you said the Aleph. I got confused." Well, the Aleph is what they would say in that Yiddish language that they speak over there right now. That's how they would pronounce it, right? As they would say. But for us, we say Ah, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha. That's how we say it in the Lashawan Kodash. So our Hebrew dialect is different than theirs. As you can see on the backdrop, the reason it says that is because that's how they say theirs. You see the arrow right there? That is the A. That's the A in the Hebrew. Let me go into it. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. I'm gonna go here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20 real quick. Show something real quick. Exodus 20. Then we're gonna go to Genesis right after that. So Exodus 20:1, it says, and Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, thy power. But I'm going to read it correct. We know that word means power. What is he saying here? I am Yahweh, thy Allah, which means power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of what? Bondage. Then he says right here, thou shalt have no other deities or Elohims before me. You should have no other deities or Elohims before me. Now, with that in mind and that in concept, for the brothers and sisters that's here, I have to ask you, are not you an Elohim? If he said, thou shalt have no other Elohim before me, but a lot of people, like I say, in this time, our brothers and sisters are lost. They don't realize that they are an Elohim. And it's written, let me just show you real quick, in Psalms 82 and 6 is written. He says, I have said that ye are what? Elohims. And are the children of who? The Most High. So you are a deity. You are an Elohim. But in Exodus 20, he said, you can't have any other Elohim before me. What is he saying? You can't, as an individual, as your deity, as a deity, you cannot put yourself in front of the Most High because you are an Elohim. You are a power. And most people today are putting that self in front of the Most High. That's why he said he's a jealous Elohim. And that's how we're breaking one of the first commandments, is because we're putting ourselves in front of him, which is the all-powerful Allah. But us as being a deity, as you can see right here in Psalms 82 and 6, you have to understand what he's saying. This is why he says in John, let me get this in the New Testament, even Hamashiach Yahushua says it in the book of John, chapter 10, real quick. Let me see where it's at. Give me 1 second. John 10 and right here. John 10 and 34. It says, Yahushua answered them. This is what he said. Because remember, they wanted to kill him because he said he was an Elohim. And he is, just like we are. But they wanted to kill him because he said that. And then he brought it to their attention. He's quoting Psalms 82 and 6 and said, wait a minute now, is it not written in your law? I said, ye are Elohims. So how can you get mad at me for calling myself an Elohim, a power? How can you get mad when the Most High said that's what we are? He says in verse 35, if he called them Elohims unto whom the word of Elohim came, and the scripture cannot be broken. He's letting you know the scripture cannot be broken. So yes, people, if you don't get it and you don't understand it, what I'm trying to say is that we are Elohims. People will say Elohim. We are that. This is why he says in Exodus 20, as we'll go back to real quick, that you should have none of them in front of me. He's telling you, don't exhort yourself in front of me. That's why he tells you in verse 2, I am Yahweh thy who power, which have brought thee out of the land of what? Egypt, out of the house of bondage, exhorting his supremacy and his power. Then he's telling you, thou shalt have no other Elohims before me, meaning he is first. Even though you are an Elohim, you are behind him. There is a hierarchy. That's what he explained in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, he says, but I will have you know that the head of every man is who? Hamashiach. The head of every man is Hamashiach. Salakia. And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Hamashiach is who? Allah, the Most High, our Father, Yahweh. That's who. That's how the hierarchy. That's how it goes. So I'm just trying to express and show that a lot of people here on the earth that are Elohayams, they are exerting their power, are putting their power in front of the Most High. And a lot of times it's because they don't understand it. They truly don't understand it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, right? Genesis chapter 1. Yes, Sister Dorothy, Aqua Dorothy, she said yes. So ours is the letter A, Khan. Exactly. That's exactly right. I'm going to show it on the screen. Just give me 1 second. Uziah says, I want to learn this soon, someday. I usually use it say shalom, while others say, or shalom, or something like that, but others say shalom or shalom, Khan. It's pretty much shalom. It comes from the Lashawan Quadash. Shalom, it just means peace, right? And like I say, those are just vowels. That's why it's spelled with an O. You have to understand when you do the research, what happened is that over time, people came in, and because they couldn't really understand the dialect or the language as it was written, they said it would be easier for us to insert. I'm going to do a whole breakdown on it and really show people. That's what I need to do. But they inserted these vowels to be able to pronounce the words, to help people pronounce the words, as they said, to be able to read the language. And that's where you got the vowel system from, right? The Masoretics. That's what they're called. And they instituted this Nakud system and different things. That's why you see now today, when you look at Hebrew, as I can show you on the screen, let me go here real quick. Let me blow it up some. This is why you see all of these little dots right here. See, this is a system that was implemented later on, I would say maybe in the 8th century in the school of Tiberius, 8th, 9th, 10th century, that men came along and instituted this vowel system to be able to have a better understanding and better read the very word of the Most High. But those things were never prior before. You got to understand, when Yahweh Shai was here, there was no vowel system. When Moses wrote the Torah, these dots did not, none of this stuff existed. This is something new that man created. So man can be better, or better understand, or try to better understand the ancient writings. You have to understand that also. So this stuff is all new when you see all these dots. So what I'm trying to show you here today is that we spoke about this Elohayim, as I would say it in the Hebrew, but of course today they would say Elohim. Now, for those who don't know and can't see it right here on the screen, it is right here, but if you don't read Hebrew, you won't see it, right? Uziah says, got it. He says, the water, I thank you. Let me see what Sister Dorothy says. I don't like when men call themselves GODs, because they become super egotistic, right? And that's what I'm trying to show. They exhort themselves and they try to put themselves over the Most High, whether knowingly or unknowingly. This is what you're doing. And this is why he said you should have no other deities or no other Elohims before me. So even though you are that, humble yourself under the mighty hand, as it says in 1 Peter 5, right? Calm down, relax. Remember, I gave you that power and authority through my only begotten son. So she says, they make idols of themselves. Exactly. That's exactly what they do. They make idols of themselves, right? And then she says, I'm beginning to learn our language. Khan. So that's exactly what they do, brothers and sisters, and that's how they break the first commandment. And this is why I'm trying to show you uh being revealed right here. This is how we know it wasn't exactly the Most High, but it was Hamashiach Yahushua. It was the angels. It was, as I would say, the Malaks and many other different things that, hey, maybe I don't even know there were Elohayams as we were or are that were doing this work in Genesis chapter 1. So I'm going to show you this in Genesis chapter 1. It reads right here. In the beginning, Elohayam created the Shemayim and the earth, or the Arataza in the Hebrew. But like I say, the Hebrew and the dialect of Hebrew that we speak is a little bit different than what they speak, right? Which is okay. I don't mind. Some people say, well, no, y'all really not speaking Hebrew. You got to speak it like they speak it. No, I would rather speak, even if they say like it's slang Hebrew, I would rather speak a different dialect than those people, because this is what they have done, and they have entered. It's called a Germanic, which is they get their German stuff and put it into the Hebrew language. But anyway, that's a whole nother lesson. Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, Elohayim created the Shemayim and the earth, right? So when we go here, they say that that's God, right? It's the Most High. It's the Father. But when we look here on the screen, remember, what letter are we focusing on? We're focusing on the that A sound, right? And it's right here. This is what Elohayim or Elohim is in the Hebrew. For those that can read Hebrew, you can see it. The way it's written right here is Bereshit bara Elohayim Ata Hashemayim bara Arazata, right? Which is the earth or the land, because there's really no such thing as earth. They just call it a landmass, right? So this word right here is what you would say is the letter A. This letter right here is called the Lamed, which is the L. So this is where you get La, Ha, and this is where my arrow is. This is a letter H. This letter right here is called the Yah, which is a Y, where we get Yayam. So we say Elohayim, right? Now, this letter right here, let me tell you how wicked these people are. It's supposed to be an M, but they have changed it and created two M's when it was really only one M in the ancient text. So this M that they put right here is a closed M, which is supposed to be the closed word of the Most High. That's how it do it. I'm only telling you what these people have done. This one right here is another M in how it's supposed to look, which is the open word, as they say in their revelation, is the open word of the Most High. So this is how an M is supposed to look in the modern Hebrew, right? But I've been saying I'm going to show it, so let me show this to my brothers and sisters that are, they like, wait a minute. Where's the Paleo Hebrew? Where is this? So let me put this on the screen and show my brothers and sisters. Okay. Let me make sure it's sharing. It's sharing somewhere you can see it. You can't see it all. But here's the A. So as you can see right here on the screen, this is A, B, D, H, W, Z, Cha, Ta, Ya, which is the Y. And you can see them right here. Each letter has numbers too. This is why it's a mathematic thing. Like if you really want to go deep into the Most High and his words and his letters and his, the whole Bible is really a mathematic code. That's what it really is about. It's a mathematic code, because all of his letters have numbers attached to them. So it's a lot more meaning than just the letter. It's not like how we do it in English. It's just A, B, C, D, and then you got a letters, and then you got a number system on the side. No, his letters mean a lot of different things. But anyway, this is the A right here, as the sister Dorothy was saying. This is the A. This is the Ba. So what you see on the top is what the Hebrew that they're using today that you can see, right? This one right here that's lit up in the white box is what they would call the Paleo Hebrew. That's more so what we use as Israelites. We use the Paleo Hebrew. We don't really use the modern day Hebrew so much. So if this is an A, as you can see it right here, which represents the ox head, right? That's what it means when you go to it. It means ox. This first letter A right here means ox, leader, and strength. That's the meaning of that one letter. It means ox, leader, and strength. So who is our leader? The Most High. Who is our strength? The Most High. So anytime that letter is used in representation of who? The Most High. Now, who is second in command? I just read it to you in 1 Corinthians 11. Who is second in command? His only begotten Son, which is where the Ba comes in. Now, we know the house, the Ba is in representation of what? A house. When you do it in the Hebrew, it's usually like a house. This little part right here where the arrow is like a house or a box right here. And it usually has a little body inside. You can see like a little man inside. But the meaning of it is saying the body within. That's the meaning of it, the Ba, which is the body within. Now, when you think about body within, what's in the body within you? Well, of course, it's your Rakah. It's your spirit. So he's telling you that the leader, the strength, the Most High is in what? The body within. This is why Hamashiach said, I must go to send what? The Quadash Rakah, the Holy Spirit. So it can be where? It's not on the outside of you. You're not wearing it on the outside when you got the Holy Spirit. You're not walking around and everybody just know, oh, look at it. He got the Holy Spirit. No. It's inside of you. It's in the body, what? Within. So basically all I'm saying is that each letter has a meaning to it and behind it. So when you think of Elohim, or people will say Elohim, what does it really mean? What's the meaning behind it? Right? And then I just show this one at the bottom just so you can see. Once again, the one on the top is what you will see most common today. The one that's lit up in the white is what you will call Paleo Hebrew. Now, there is another Hebrew which is called pictographic, right? And that's a more ancient writing, even before the Paleo. Because you got to understand the reason we have Paleo and we have this block letter, which is called, because every time the children of Israel went into slavery, they came out of a different way because they were influenced by who? The people that had them in captivity. This is why they have different writings. But the original writing is what you would call pictographic Hebrew. That's what they find on the walls and different things when they go into these caves and things of that nature. They find what is called pictographic, meaning you can actually look at that picture, or you can actually look at what's on the wall and kind of visualize what it is that they're trying to say by the actual writings. That's why it's called pictographic, right? And then right here, you can see the last two letters in the Hebrew alphabet, which is the Shah, or that people say the Shin, and then the Tha, which is the sign. So when it says in the New Testament, he is the Alpha right here, which is the Ah, and the Omega, which they're saying is the last letter of the Hebrew, is the Tha. And the Tha means a sign. That's what the word Tha means, a sign or a cross. And they try to say it's the cross like they got now, but you can see it's more like an X and less like a cross that you see today, right? So this is why it's important, as you can see the numbers change down here. When you get here, the Ka is 20, the La is 30, the Ma Let me put it down some. Is 40. The Na is 50. The Sa is 60. The I is 70. The Pa is 80, right? Then it starts to go from 90 to 100 to 200. And then when you go down here, the Sha is 300 and the Tha is 400. So a lot of people don't even know that these letters have actual numbers. So just say I wanted to send you something, and it had to be with a amount of numbers. I can send letters to you, and if you knew the numbers, you would know what I'm trying to say in numbers, even though people would just see the letters. But if you didn't know what the numbers were for the letters, you will just be lost. This is what I'm saying. Like the Most High is, man, he's man, I'm trying to tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot, you know. And for those who are interested, I'm just going to show a little bit more, and then we'll go back to Genesis. So this is the dialect that we speak. Like I say, the Lashawan Quadash. And as you can see, this is where we get like Judah, as we say like Yahweh, right? And then you have other ones right here. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. And as you can see right here on the screen, on the right side, because Hebrew is read from right to left. You got to remember, everything we do now, where we're at, we do backwards. So Hebrew is read from right to left. And as you can see, you see the Paleo Hebrew, and then you see the more modern Hebrew right here, right? And this is just talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. And then as I go down right here, you see why I say Yashra Allah when it comes to Israel, because that's how we spell it. That's how we use it. And then sometimes in my lessons, you'll hear me say the Allah Shaddai, right? And somebody might say, well, why does he say that? Why is he saying the Allah Shaddai? Well, you can see it now on the screen. Why? Because it says the power of the Almighty. That's why I say that. And it's written here in the Paleo Hebrew, and it's also written in the modern Hebrew, and then it's written right here in English, and it says Allah Shaddai Yah. So that's why I say that, right? And then you might hear me say Allah, and you say, well, why are you saying Allah? Well, that's what it's saying right here. You have the A, which is the Ah, and then you have the La, which is the Lamed. And in the modern Hebrew, you see it right here, Allah, and it's written in English right here, Ah, and then La, which means what? Power. Now, when it says power, that's particularly for who? Just the Father. That's only who it's for. The Father. That's it. When you see that in the Bible, that's for the Father. Only him. Why? Because he is the Almighty and he is the omnipotent one, which is the powerful one, right? Now, for ourselves, as I was breaking down in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, we are what? Elohayams, which means powers, plural. And that's why we say Allahayam. Like I said, people on the other side would say Elohim. And when I show it to you in Genesis 1, when I go back to the Blue Letter Bible, that's how you're going to see it rendered. That's how they're going to bring it out, Elohim. But that's not necessarily how it should be said, because that's an A in the front, and that's an L, that's an H, that's a Y, and that's an M. So where are they getting this Elo with the E? But that's how they want you to pronounce it. And this is where they get the vowel system of those dots to have you pronounce it like that. But we would preferably, for ourselves, like I say, this is just for us, we would preferably pronounce it the way it's written. And that's an A. It's not an E, it's an A. So we say Allahayam, right? We also say Malak. And as you can see right here, when it says my, Lord, which is Adonai, then sometimes you hear me say in my lessons or when I'm going through the things, Adon, you know. So these are just words right here on the screen that I'm showing you. Barakatah, Salakia, Salak, Tawab, Ka, Laha. Sometimes you'll hear me say Halawaya, which means praise you, Yahweh, or praise Yahweh, right? Then you see Abba, Amma, Ban, Son. Just a lot of different words that you can kind of go into, right? And then it's much more. much, much more. But I'm not going to go into all of that. I was basically just trying to show you on the Lashawan Kodash how we speak and the alphabets that we use. And this first letter as we going into the day is an A. It's not an E. It is a A. So what you might say, why are they using that as an E? Because they changed it. So when you hear that word Elohim, that's not really how it's supposed to be sounded. They made it sound like that. But let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 real quick. Let me go back there so I can show you that on the screen. And that's the word right there in the Hebrew. As you can see, the A that I just showed you, that letter right there is an A. Right? For those who know the Hebrew, I don't have to try to stress it to you. You know that it's an A. You know this is why they had these dots here to make it sound like an E, right? And then it's right here. So that word G-O-D, I already showed you it means Elohayim. That's how we pronounce it. But some people will say Elohim, which is a plural thing. It's not one person. It's plural. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it was a plural, meaning a multitude of powers working together to create something. What were they creating? Well, it said the heavens and the earth. It was not just the Most High. The Most High gave a decree and he told them what to do and how to do it, of course. But these were powers that were working for the Most High. But a lot of people think that it was just the Most High doing it, but that's not true. And I'm going to show you that. This is why it says this right here in H403 or 4430, Salakia, right? And that first letter, as I said, is an A, but see how they put it as an E. Now, the second letter right here that you see is an L, which is the Lamed. And they put this O in there. That O is not even supposed to be there. There's no O in this writing right here. No O. This is A-L-H-Y-M. So this O is a vowel that they inserted in there to get the pronunciation, right? They inserted that. That's why you see this little dot right here up on the top by the Lamed, and then you see this other dot down here at the bottom. So this is why you have the word Elohim, but that's not really how it's supposed to be said. So when you get this and you break it all down, and you go here and you think about when John said, let me just show this real quick. John chapter 1, real quick. The sister Dorothy says, in church, they taught us that the Most High and Hamashiach created the world. Well, that's true. Like I say, he gave the order, right? He gave the order, but Hamashiach, which is the only begotten son, and his angels or Malaks, they did the work. The Most High never moves off of his throne. You have to remember that. The Most High never, ever, ever moves off of his throne. Everybody does what he tells them to do. There's no reason for him to leave his throne. So it was the Malaks and the only begotten son and other things that we probably have no understanding about that were in this creation, right? Because there's a lot of things, like it says, visible and invisible, right? Let me show that real quick before we go to John 1. I showed it yesterday on the Shabbat, I believe. But we'll just go into it in the book of Colossians real quick, right? The book of Colossians chapter 1. I started 13. It says, who have delivered us from the power of darkness and have translated us into the kingdom of his dear son, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sin, who is the image of the invisible Allah, right? The invisible power, the firstborn of every creature. So we know what was created from what is told to us. But there are things that we don't know that were created, that are creatures that is not told to us. So we can't think that we know everything, because it is written in the Bible that we only know in part. There are things that it tells us in the Bible, that all the things that even Hamashiach, the only begotten son, did in the earth while he was here, it says that they didn't write all that he did in the earth, even in the books that we have now. We're still missing things. We're still missing parts. Verse 16, it says, for by him were all things created, right? So all things were created through who? Hamashiach Yahushua, the only begotten son, our brother, our friend. It tells us that are in the who? Shemayim, the heaven, and that are what? In the Arataza, which is the earth. It says visible and invisible. So things that we can see and things that we cannot see. This is why I tell people that there are angels or malaks around us all the time. We just can't see them. There's a lot of things around us, demons, angels. There's a lot of things around us that we just can't necessarily not see, because it's invisible to us. It said whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. Who? The only begotten son. This is why he is the first creation, because the Most High created him, and through him, everything else was brought forth. Everything else was brought forth through him. That's why he is the first of the creation. And it says in verse 17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. As it tells you, he is before what? All things. Before anything came forward, other than him, there was nothing else. And all things came into existence through him, because that's how the Father wanted it. The same is for even for the body that he's in, that we will be resurrected in. In Colossians 1:18, it says, and he is the head of the what? Body, that resurrected body, the church, as it says, who is the beginning of what? The firstborn from the dead. He's always the beginning of everything, because he was the first thing created. So even in the beginning, before Genesis, because Genesis is when he started to do the creation, he was already there. That's why I'm going to go to John in a minute. So even in his new body that he's in, the resurrected body, he is the first in that. For those who know, when he gave up the ghost and he went down and they buried him and all this, what happened? They say the tombs and the graves were open. People that were dead came out of them graves. But eventually those people went back to the graves. He is the only one that was risen and stayed that way. Those people that came out the graves, they went back to those graves. And that's written in the New Testament. But he is the only one that still is, even to this very day. That's why I said the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have what? Preeminence. For it pleased who? The Father, that in him should all fullness dwell. That was pleasing to the Most High Yahweh. That was pleasing to the Father. That his son would have what? Preeminence over everything. So that's what we have to understand. So like I say, if you understand, that's why the thumbnail says, if you understand Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it can open up a whole new world, revelation, and things that'll be revealed to you within the Bible, or the Quadash scripture, the Holy Bible, right? Let's get John real quick. John chapter 1, because I'm not trying to hold you too long. It's already been an hour. Let's do this. Let me see if anybody said anything. Khan. She said, Khan, John chapter 1. Let's get there. John chapter 1. It says, in the beginning was the word. Now we know the word is who? Hamashiach Yahushua, the only begotten son. And then it says, in the beginning was the word. Now, this is where people get lost. They get lost because this reference to what? Genesis 1 and 1. See, in the beginning was the word. And the word was with who? Who was the word with? People read this and they say the word was with G-O-D and the word was G-O-D. But what is it really saying here? In the beginning was the word, which is Hamashiach Yahushua, right? Why is he called the word? Well, we have to understand the reason he has the title the word is because the Most High gave him his word. That's why he has that title. So he carries the very word of who? The Most High. He carries the word of who? The Father. Even in Genesis chapter 1, he carried the word of the Father. When he came to the earth, he carried the word of the Father. When he comes back, he's going to carry the word of the Father. This is why he's called the Word. So even in the beginning, he was carrying out the word of the Most High, the Father. Then it says, and the word was with. Who was it with? Who was this word with? Well, we know the word is Hamashiach Yahushua, but who was he with? He was with who? The Father. He was with the Father, the Ancient of Days, the giver of life, the taker of life, the all be all, the everlasting to everlasting, the Allah Shaddai, right? The Almighty. This is who the word was with. Then this is where people get lost right here. It says, and the word was a G-O-D. But what it's saying is the word was a Elohayim, just as we are Elohayims. That's all it's saying. That the word was a Elohayim, meaning the word was what? Power. Just like we are powers. Verse 2, the same was in the beginning with the Most High. Then he's going to go on. John is trying to break it down and tell it to you, right? This is why he says the deity of who? Yahushua Mashiach. He's trying to tell you the deity, the Elohayim that he is. He is not the Father. He is not the Allah Shaddai. He is not the Ancient of Days. He's not the giver of life and the taker of life. Those things come from the Father. Now the Father has given him all authority, power, and things within the earth and within the Shemayim or the heavens, right? He has given those things to him. You can read it in 1 Corinthians 15, but those things were given to him by the Father. That's why he always prayed to the Father. That's why when you read in Revelations 3, he said, I'm going to make a pillar. I'm going to make you a pillar in the house of my Father. Even though it says G-O-D, this is what he's talking about. But these people play with these words and put G-O-D everywhere, and all our people is just confused. And they want to fight you to the T on it. John 1 and 3, it says, all things were made by him. Once again, by who? Hamashiach Yahushua, the only begotten son. And without him was not anything made that was made. John is letting you know. Everything that you see, the birds, the animals, the dogs, the cats, the fish, the whales, the this, the women, the man, everything. All those, the angels, the malaks, the wind, the lightning, the thunder, all that came through Hamashiach Yahushua. Now, who gave it to him? Who showed him? Who told him? Well, it was the Father. The Father. Verse 4, in him was life. And the life was what? The light of man. He was able to bring forth what? Life. And that life was what? The light of man. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehend it not. Now, brothers and sisters, this is for those who have an ear to hear. If you can't hear, I'm breaking it down as easy as possible as I can. But if you ain't got ears to hear, brothers and sisters, it one more time. John 1 and 5. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. Why is it in Genesis chapter 1 that one of the first things that he created was what? Let's go back to Genesis. You know, I had this conversation. I was doing a lesson, and somebody said, "Well, it don't really mean the daylight." Yes, it do. That's exactly what it means. You read verse 2, and it says, "And the earth was without form and void." Empty, basically, is what it's talking about, right? It means it was in confusion. That's what it really was in when it says, "And the earth was without form and void." It means it was in confusion. Let me see it. Let me see something real quick. Let me show this. Let me see. Let me see if it say this on here. Let me go here real quick. See how it says it right here. Let me see real quick. So this is just another platform that I use, another tool that I use, and when it goes into Hebrew and different things like that, right? That takes out of all of that English type of thing that they put into it, right? So in verse 2, it just says, "And the land had existed in confusion and was unfilled, and darkness was upon the face of the deep water, and the wind." See how it says wind right here, but in the English format, it'll say what? "But the spirit, the rakah of Elohim, was fluttering upon the face of the water." Now, when it says confusion, let's click on that word. Let me go up. Confusion, it says to bring to ruin, right? To bring to ruin. So this is how the earth was already. This is how it was. It says a barren place. It was nothing there. Vanity. What was that? A state of waste. Let me see. Hold on. Unfilled. Let's click on that real quick. As an empty box that needs to be filled. Right? Let me see. Is there anything else? Let me click on darkness. The state of being dark as the darkness of a moonless night. So now you see why the moon was created, right? When I just want to see what it say. A natural movement of air, breath, the breath of man, animal, or the breath of Elohim, the character, a space in between, right? So that's why they probably render it in that English one, the Blue Letter Bible, as the Rakah or the Spirit, right? But what I'm trying to show you is that land was in confusion. It was in confusion. Let me go down to verse 3 real quick. And then it says, Elohim said, light will exist, and light existed. Now let's click on that word light, and it says, the illumination from the sun, moon, stars, fire, candle, or other sources. This is the strong number for those who have a concordance, 0216, 0217, right? Now there's another word right here, light, but that's not what I clicked on. It says to shine with an intense light, be or give off light to be bright. But that's not the one that I clicked on, right? I believe it was a 216. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's the one I had clicked on. Okay, calm. So that's what he brought forth first was what? Light. Why? Because it was a place of confusion. It was a place of darkness already. So he had to bring forth light. That's what John 1 and 1 was talking about. Light. But what? People that live in that darkness, and what? Darkness represents what? Confusion. It's a place unfilled. Let's see what darkness, a place, a state of dark without a moonless night. You need that light. And he brought forth that light. Let's go back to the regular one in the blue letter Bible. Let me just pull that up. I'm almost done. I ain't going to hold you too much longer. I know it's the first day of the week. People got things to do, right? Places to go. So once again, Genesis 1, in the beginning, Elohim created the Shemayim and the Arataz of the earth. And then the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Rakah of the who, Elohim, moved upon the face of the water. Right? And Elohim said, let there be light. And there was light. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. So the light is good. And Elohim divided the light from what? Darkness. So there was a divide right then and there. Soon as Genesis 1, 2, 3, and 4, he's already dividing the wicked from the righteous. Right then and there. That's what the whole Bible is about. That's what the whole Bible is about. The light is what is good. That's why he said in John 1, I believe it was verse 5, that he is what? The light of life is in man. But those who live in darkness, they will not comprehend it. So he saw the light, it was good, and Elohim divided the light, divided the righteous from who? The darkness. And he called the light what? Day. And darkness he called night. In the evening and the morning were the first day, right? So that was the first thing he brought forth was what? In this place of confusion was light. And then he separated it. Now let me show you this in John chapter, I believe it's 11. Let me see. Right here. Con. So this is John chapter 11. I'm going to start so you can get the context of everything. John 11 and 7, it says, then after that, saith he to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? So they wanted to kill him. And the disciples is like, man, are you going to go there again? But this is what he says, right? Our brother, our friend, Hamashiach Yahushua, the only begotten son. This is what he says. Yahushua answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? Remember, when he created or he brought forth light, he called the light what? Day. Then he divided the day from darkness. He called the darkness night, and he called the light what? Day. So he's telling the disciples here, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, meaning if you walk in the light of the world, the light of man, which is Hamashiach Yahushua, in a spiritual format, but in a physical format, if you walk in the light of the day, he says he stumble not, because he seeth the light of this world. Who is the light of the world? Hamashiach Yahushua. That's why he said you won't stumble, because you will see the light of the world. And he is the light. But if any man walk in the night, darkness, he stumbled, because there is no light in him. Speaking in a spiritual format. There is no light in him, meaning there is no what? Life. Life in him. Then he goes on to talk about Lazarus, how he sleep. You know, that's how he looked at it. He didn't look at death as dying as we look at it, or as people, as they teach us to look at it. Because now we know that we in the truth, that we're not dead. We're just asleep. And that's what he's saying. Hey, Lazarus sleeping. But I go that I may what? Awake him out of his what? Sleep. That's all he is. He just sleep. He's not over with. He's not done. He's coming back. Just like you coming back. You just sleep. For all our brothers and sisters that have already went to sleep, they're just sleep. They're not dead. But it has been instilled in us, in our minds, and in our hearts that we die. We're gone. No, you're not. You're not gone. You just went to sleep. That's why I tell people all the time, don't get cremated, don't get burnt, don't do all those things. I mean, you still gonna be brought back, but the custom of our belief through the holy scriptures is that you be buried like our brother was in a what? In a tomb. He wasn't burnt. They didn't put him in no furnace. No, they buried him, wrapped him in linen, and buried him, just like all of the other ancestors. So that's what we should do. But to make a moral of the story, verse 9 is that are there not 12 hours in a day? Now, let me click on this real quick just to show people why the representation of day, right? In the light. Here it is right here. And it tells you in the outline biblical usage. It says right here in verse 1, it says in the daytime, 2, metaphor, right? Here it is. The day, let me highlight it. The day is regarded, this is what the day represents, right? This light that we get in the daytime. It is regarded as a time for what? Abstaining from indulgence in what? Vice, crime, because acts of the sort, things like this are portrayed or at what? Night and in darkness. This is when most people carry out these type of things. You know, most people carry out these things at nighttime. Sometimes people wait till the night. You know, people that are going to rob people that are going to do certain things, rob a bank, rob anything, steal anything, you know, maybe harm somebody. A lot of times, any type of crime is what I'm trying to say right here. A lot of time people wait for the nighttime because they could be, you know, they can move a little swifter. People get caught off guard in the dark. But it lets you know that the day or the daytime is regarded as a time from what? Abstaining from evil, abstaining from wickedness, from crimes, from any type of these indulgence. But not in the night, not in darkness. Let me see what it says right here. Okay. So I just wanted to show that, right? So hopefully you get the gist of that. So when we get back to Genesis 1 and John 1, brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to show you and what I'm trying to tell you is that, yes, the Most High gave the order, but right here in Genesis 1, this is the only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, who the world calls Christ. This is him right here in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. That's why it says the same thing in John chapter 1 right here. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. That's why it says that, brothers and sisters. Don't get lost in the sauce with these words that they're using. That's why it's important for us to go to the Hebrew, right? That's why it's important for us to go to the Hebrew. Let me see. I was trying to see if I wanted to get something else out of here. But that's why it's important, brothers and sisters, for us to go to this Hebrew, you know, and when we go into it, like I say, you can see these letters that are right here. Also, I'm going to share this with those who have an ear to hear, that a lot of times, Sister Dorothy says, that a lot of times right here, you know, you see the ah and the tha in the Hebrew, right? Which is the first letter, which is the ah, and then the last letter, which is the tha, which is a sign, right? And a lot of times in the Hebrew writings, you'll see that, which means the first and the last. And that's where he gets that from in all throughout the scriptures. And this is in the first very verse of the Bible, when he's bringing forth the creation of the heavens and the earth, right? So this really means a lot, but you will never see this because it's rendered or it's brought forth. Let me show you right here. How did they put it? They put it as and, right? The 853, which is the ah and the tha. And this means a whole lot, but they just put it in the Bible as and. So you would never really know what the meaning of it behind, because you wouldn't even know in the Bible. You would just look at it as and. You'll never even know. And to be honest with you, they don't know. They don't know. This is why they couldn't really put it as nothing. So it's something that's written in the Hebrew continuously throughout the course of the Bible, and these people really don't even know what it really represents or what it means. But we just know right here and definitely that it's the ah and the tha, which is the first and the last, right? And you people will say the beginning and the end. And in that ancient writing or the Greek, they would say the alpha and the omega, because that's what it is, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. And that's in the first verse of the Bible in Genesis chapter 1. But since people don't know and they don't go into the Hebrew, you would never know that it's there unless you actually go into the Hebrew. Because like I say, they put it in the Bible as and. It doesn't, when you see the letter or you see the word and, it doesn't mean anything to you. You just go on. It doesn't mean anything. You're like, and whatever. But it really has a lot of meaning to it because that's the first letter in the alphabet, in the Hebrew alphabet, and that's the last letter, right? And we know that A represents what? The leader, the ox head, the strength. And then the last letter represents what? The cross and a sign. So I just wanted to show that, you know, it has a lot of meaning to it. A couple more things, a few more things, and then we're going to close out. Matthew chapter, actually not Matthew, let me see. Chapter 3. Malachi 3:16, it says, then they that fear Yahweh spake often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh, and that brought, or Salaki, and thought upon his name. So this is something that we can be able to go to, go over, read it, dive into it, in a remembrance of the Most High, his name, all of the things that he gave us. You know, it's a lot to it. Like I say, you know, it's one of those onions like that you peel back. You know, the rabbit hole is deep. It will you will never get it all, but it just depends on how deep you want to go. That's what it really boils down to. How deep you want to go. And let me leave you with this as I close out, because I say I wasn't gonna hold you long. Genesis chapter 14. Because people always want to know. I had somebody leave a comment one day and they was like, oh, you had me. I was listening till you said Allah. And I don't know where you get that from. I'm like, that's in the Bible, you know. So right here, Genesis 14. And who is this talking about? This is Elohim's promise to who? Abraham or Abram, right? Here we go. Genesis 14:18. It says, and Melchizedek, the king of who? Salem, which is Jerusalem, brought forth bread and wine. So somebody who was called Melchizedek, who is the king of Jerusalem, because that's what Salem is, right? Brought forth bread and wine. And it says, and he was the priest of the Most High, Allah. So let's get this. Let's go in here. This Melchizedek, right? And it says, the king of who? Salem, brought forth bread and wine. And he, the priest, the Kohan, right? Says it was a priest of the Most High. See this word said of, and then it says the Most High. This is why I say you got to go into the Hebrew, because they just put it as of. But when you go here, you see it. let me blow it up as much as I can. On the screen, you see it's the Hebrew in the concordance H410. They render it as what? L. But there's no E there. There's no E. Stop saying E. It's no E. That's an A and that's an L. That's why they got the dots at the bottom of it, because they want you to say E. But it's really an A, and it's an A-L. And what does that say? Allah. So he's a priest of who? The Most High. Allah. The Father. So Melchizedek is a priest of the Most High Yahweh. So when we click on that word, as you can see, it says Allah right there, the A and the L in the Hebrew. I go down to verse 4 because it tells the truth right there. It says basically Allah, the one true Allah, and they put it as who? Jehovah. But we know as the Most High Yahweh. You know. So this is why I say, man, and they want you to say L. That's how they put it, as you can see it right there. But no, we know it as the Most High Allah, because that's what it really is. That's an A and that's an L. So that's why I say if you go into Hebrew and you start to break these things down, man, a lot of stuff will be revealed to you behind the scenes that these people don't play with the word of the Most High, right? So basically, yeah, Melchizedek, which is our high priest, right, even to today, but it's saying here in Genesis chapter 14 that Melchizedek, which is the king of Jerusalem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of who? The Most High Yahweh. Now, who is that priest? Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. That's who it is. Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the only begotten son. He is the high priest right now. But listen, like I say, I just wanted to show you that. But see how they said it in here when you go here? Once again, I'll show it to you again. You can pull it up for yourself. You can do research yourself. You can go into it yourself. See how they put the priest. This is the priest. And then they put H410. The priest of who? Even though they still gave him some, when they said the Most High, right? So they still giving credit. They still giving credit because they did say the Most High. But right here, they just going to put But they don't say It say of who? Of Allah. The Most High. Then it still had its E right here. Elion. It's Alion. Like I say, they play with these words. That's why you got to go into it. Here it is again. See how they put it right here? Now, the same word of right here, that's 410. The same word. And they got it as OF, of, which is the H410. But see down here, where it say God, it's the H410. Why they didn't put God up here? Why they didn't put God up? Why they put OF? But it's the same word. You see it. L. The Allah. That's why I be saying, man, you got to go into it because these people be playing with the Most High. They really be playing with the Most High. So listen, hopefully this message was edifying. If I kept you long, I'm sorry. My apologies. I didn't try to make it real long. I know it's the first day of the week. People got things to do. But I did want to kind of go in this to reveal some things. So the sister Dorothy says, when we hear Allah, we immediately think Muslim or 5%er. Khan. They do. Let me tell you, the way I dress sometimes, I have had people come up to me and think that I'm Muslim. My wife, they have came up to us and they have thought that we were Muslim because she has her head cover or because we have on fringes or because I wear my throat, different things like that. See, the thing about it is that the world doesn't know how true believers of the Most High look, act, or think. So they associate you, as the sister is saying right here, immediately with either being a Muslim or, as she said, a 5%er or something like that, or a 1%er. because the world has not seen people that really believe in the Most High of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have to understand all of these other religions have taken things from us, from the Most High, from the belief of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Muslims are just a branch off from an Abrahamic covenant. That's all from Ishmael. So they have adopted a lot of things that we have that was started from us, and they took it on. That's why they dress like that. That's why they act like that. That's why they women cover their hair. That's why they have beards, and those things come from us. But since people are ignorant and they don't know and they haven't done research, they just automatically try to put you in a box, because people, when they don't know, they just want to put you in a box where they can kind of know where you from, who you at, what you believe. But see, it's different with us, because you can't put us in a box, because every religion has taken from us, whether it's Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity. It doesn't matter who or what it is. They have taken from the word of the Most High to create their own religion. So yeah, we get that all the time. I get it all the time, sister. But that's a beautiful time to be able to educate someone if they're willing to hear. For those who have an ear to hear, as I do when brothers approach me, sisters approach me, because I get approached all the time. And they ask me, I have people say, hey, or they may say, what do the Muslims say? Dang, alaikum salam. They'll say something to me like that. And then we'll start in the conversation, in a dialogue. And they'll say, well, why are you dressed like that? And I say, well, this is the way you're supposed to dress. You're supposed to dress modest as a man. The same way why you dress like this. And he said, well, why your wife got her hair covered? Because in the Bible, that's what it says, that a woman should have her hair covered. He said, but I see all other people that are Christians and they don't dress like that, or they don't think like that, or they don't act like that. And I said, that's because they really don't believe in the Holy Scriptures. And it makes him think. And he's like, wow, I never knew that. I never thought of it like that. So those are beautiful times to educate people that have been lied to, that don't really understand the word of the Most High. That's why I say to reveal the truth. That's why you must go into the Hebrew to get the true word. She says, I thought Allah was Arabic. See? That's what they want you to believe. Now, some of the scriptures was translated, I believe, Daniel in Arabic, right? But they spell it different. We just say Ah, which is the AH, and then La, which is the Lama, which is the LA. They spell it ALLAH, which is a different render in Arabic. Now, somebody might say, are they praying to the same deity that you're praying to? No, they're not. They're not praying to the same deity, because they don't believe in the only begotten Son, that he is the Son of the Most High. They'll say that they believe in Jesus. A Muslim will tell you that they believe in Jesus. They believe that he was a prophet. They believe he was a man that walked the earth, but they do not believe that he is the Son of the Most High. And in our word, it says, if you do not believe that he is the Son of the Most High, then you don't believe in the Most High. And I just showed you today in Genesis chapter 1, which they believe in the Quran, the very book that they read, they believe in Genesis. They believe in the whole Torah. That's where a lot of their words come from in the Quran, is the Torah. So even in there, we know that it's speaking in Hamashiach Yahushai, the anointed one, the only begotten Son, was the one doing the creating in Genesis chapter 1. I just broke it down for you. That's why in John chapter 1, he says that he's bringing it back to the attentions of the believer. Like, don't forget that Hamashiach Yahushai was in the beginning. All things was created by him and through him. He's basically reinstituting it, bringing it back to their remembrance about him. Let me show this real quick before I go out. Real quick. This is the last thing I'm going to pull. John chapter 5 real quick. John chapter 5. Watch this. I'm going to go down. This is Hamashiach Yahushai. He says this, right? Let's see. John 5 and 39 right here. John chapter 5 verse 39 real quick. It says, search the scriptures. Now, one thing we have to understand, the scriptures is just from Genesis to Malachi. No such thing as no New Testament, right? Those letters, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, 2 Timothy, those are epistles. Those are not scriptures. Those are letters that were written from the apostles. So when he says search the scriptures, he's talking about from basically the Tanakh, right? The prophets, the Torah, the writings. It says, for in them ye think ye have eternal life. Because you read it, people hold it dear to them. They think that they have eternal life with that. And they are they which what? Which testify of me. He's telling you, you're reading, everything that you're reading in the whole Tanakh is testifying of me. I'm there. I'm in there. But people don't know and realize that Hamashiach Yahushai was there from Genesis chapter 1 all the way to Malachi. But if you don't have that understanding, this is why people believe now he just came forth in the New Testament. He like, no, I was there from Genesis 1. Verse 40. And ye will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from who? Man, but I know you, that you have not the love of the Most High Yahweh in you. He tells you in 43, I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Allah only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For if you have believed Moses, if you believe Moses, as most people say they do, you would have believed me. For listen right here. For he wrote of me. And Moses wrote the Torah. Who wrote the Torah? Moses. So he's telling you, if you believe in Moses, then you will believe in me. Because he was writing about me from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, all the way till he finished. I'm who he was writing about. That's what he's telling people. But they lost in the sauce. They don't want to believe it. No, he ain't the only begotten son. No, he's this. He a prophet, but he not this and he not that. Okay. Like he said, okay, no problem. 47. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So that's what I say, brothers and sisters. I try to break it down for people to understand as best as possible, but like I say, it's for those who have an ear to hear, let them hear. All I can do is bring forth the very word. It's up to the Most High to get an increase, like he says. One plants the seed, one water, but it's for the Most High to give the increase for a person to really have an understanding to let this be revealed to them in their rakah, in their spirit. So Khan, Uziyah says, great lesson, all praises be to the Most High. The water, all praises be to the Most High. The sister Dorothy says, Khan. So a lot of people, let me just say this before I close out. A lot of people do when they hear the word or they hear you say Allah. For those who don't know, it's a lot of Akim out there, a lot of brothers, a lot of Israelites that do know. But there's also a lot of portion of our brothers and sisters that don't know. And when they hear that word Allah, they get scared, or because it takes them back to being Muslim, or hearing a Muslim, or people thinking that you may be Muslim. But you have to understand the history of where Islam comes from. And you have to understand that Islam didn't come about into the 600, to the 6th and 7th century. Believe it was 66 AD. Long time after Hamashiach. Hamashiach died in 33 AD. You talking about 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then Islam was birthed, and it was very small. And even when they were birthed, they took it with the sword, and they made people transition and become Muslim because it was only Christianity at that time. And when you go to the prophet, he died. And there was no such thing as Islam. It was his family members, his uncle, and I believe his ex-wife that came together and compiled his notes and put the Quran together. But I'm not here to that's why I say when people do the research, we have to understand we believe in something that's way beyond that. Islam didn't even come around to like the 7th century. And it didn't even get to where it's at today until way later on in life, until they start making plans and start, coming together with who? Our enemies, as it said. And they came, as it says in Psalms 83, when they all came together and said, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. That's why they so powerful and rich right now with the oil and things of that nature. If you go back and see how Mecca looked in the 600s and the 700s, it was just desert. Wasn't nothing there. They built around that rock because that's what they said. Something fell from the sky from, I believe, Abraham or Adam, or, you had to do the research. But that's why they all go to Mecca and go around that rock, But that didn't come until much later, much, much, much later. Our ancestors was already wearing fringes. Our ancestors were already doing the things that we were doing thousands of years before this even came about. So, no, they can try to take it and put their tip on it, as we like to say, and, Allah and this and that. But no, they took that from us. And that's just what it is. But, I give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, the Giver of Life, the Taker of Life, our Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, the Messiah, the Anointed One, who laid down his life for us, shed his blood, hung on the tree, pierced on the side, beat, whipped, mocked, all those things. And I say thank you, brother, the water. And hopefully this message is edifying to all of the Akim out there, the brothers, the Akwatiam, the sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. If you believe that it's edifying, please share it with someone that they may be edified. As we give praises, honor, and glory to our Father. And enjoy the rest of your first day of the week. Like I say, for all those that are celebrating the new month, the new moon, may you continue and have your enjoyment for this evening. With that, I'm going to close out if nobody don't have nothing. And I see you on the 3rd day and on the 5th day and on the Shabbat, Yahweh willing. If he wakes us up, if he gives us life again, I'll see you on the 3rd day of the week. And with that, I'm going to say shalom, peace, and blessings, and Kwam Yasharallah. As always, I'm going to play this video going out. Enjoy it. Here we go.
We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. Just because you're an Israelite, the chosen of our Father, but do you understand the things that matter? I see some brothers twisting scriptures while abusing our sisters. Explain to me how this is love. They worship things like fringes and idolize their leaders. They're counted as the sheep for the slaughter. You should be careful, cause you don't want blood on your hands. Wolves in sheep clothing, they're among you, do you understand? We must endure till the end. We must endure till the end. sin to